Hey folks, Randy Newberg here. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm in our studio kitchen. I kind of talked myself into this one because last spring I went to Alaska. Jace and I went up there with our buddy Jim Batesdale and our buddy Frank from Lindell Boats, and I shot a really nice bear. I mean, as nice a bear as I've ever shot. And as we were field dressing him, I'm like, man, this almost has that sweet smell of a fall bear that's been eating berries all year. So I brought him home, been eating them over the winter, and I've been bragging to the guys about, this has really been a good bear. And they said, well, you ought to take what's left of it and make something from it and let us decide. So I called my buddy Hank Shaw. Hank, I've been using, I don't know, pretty much every recipe that's in this book. I've tried it on something. And with Bear, I've tried a bunch of his roasts and stews and other stuff that's in his Buck Moose book. And so out of here, I text Hank. I'm like, look, I got a pretty, I don't know if you'd call it gristly, but I got a couple pieces of meat from a bear that has a lot of connective tissue. And he said, Polish pot roast. So it's pretty easy recipe. It's about a 3 to 4 hour cooking time. Serves 4 to 6 people. Hopefully when we're all done, the crew gives me this and not that. I always tell people, when you're cooking bear, just assume it has trichinosis. They don't all have trichinosis, but you don't want to get it high enough temp. I'm gonna get rid of it for you and you won't even know it's there. So anyhow, let's get started. So the very first thing that the recipe calls for is to marinate at least overnight, maybe four nights. We did it for 2 nights. We kind of split the difference a little bit. And when you do the marinade, you're gonna need some wine. And then out here, we got some allspice, 3 bay leaves, some peppercorns. You just grind up the allspice and the peppercorns. I think in Hank's recipe, it says, put it in there, turn on the heat, and let it get it to a boil. As quick as it gets to a boil, turn it off and let it get to room temperature. And then submerge the meat in the entire thing and let it marinate overnight up to 4 days. So we've already done that part. So what you see in here is a bottle of wine, the peppercorns, the allspice, and 3 bay leaves. So the other thing that we've done in advance here, you can see that nice handwriting as my wife. There's 1 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons of paprika, and 1 tablespoon of cayenne. So with this, Hank recommends that you coat every piece of meat thoroughly. So what I'm gonna do before I cut everything up here, I'm gonna get the meat started in the first step that Hank calls for. Pull the meat out and you pat it dry. I wonder if Hank ever watches guys like me do stuff and he's like, oh, no, Randy. But you can see in these chunks of meat, there's quite a bit of connective tissue in there. So the idea of using a recipe like this is it'll break down that connective tissue. And then you don't have to just grind everything, right? So I'm gonna set this off to the side because we're gonna take some of this and put it in the Dutch oven when we cook it. All right, the next step that Hank calls for here is take our mix of flour, paprika, and cayenne and put it in a shallow container large enough to hold the meat. While I'm doing this, I should probably start the Dutch oven. So, I'm gonna coat this. Almost reminds me of fish mix. Here's as though we're about ready to brown some meat. So I told you we were going to take some of this marinade and reuse it here. Hank suggests 2 cups of it. Time to preheat the oven to 325. I'm gonna put the meat in there along with the 2 cups of marinade and 2 cups of water. Bring it to simmer. Ooh. You don't want to do that. Wow, that's hot. Well, I see I already made one mistake. I was supposed to brown the onions before I put them in the pot. Sorry, Hank. We'll see how that turns out. Oh, dang it. My wife always tells me that men never read instructions very well, and that's why they don't like cookbooks. And I'm reading this, what I was supposed to do. I rehearsed all this beforehand. I was supposed to take the marinade, bring that to a boil, and then add the venison back to the pot along with 2 cups of water. But I didn't. I put the meat in there and the marinade and everything else, so it's going in the oven at 325. So there we go. It's in the oven. It's going to be in there for an hour and a half. I better go set my alarm, my timer, because I'm going to go and get some work done. And when it goes off, I'll come in, and once I get all these other vegetables cut up, dump them in there for another hour and a half. And we'll see what we got. 2 celery stalks diced, 3 carrots cut into large chunks, 2 parsnip cut into large chunks, 3 gold potatoes cut into chunks. If you like more potatoes like I do, well, go that route. 1 rutabaga or 2 turnips, peeled and cut into chunks. Then black pepper to taste. When we're all done, sour cream for garnish. It's been an hour and a half like Hank called for. I am going to read the instructions for the rest of it. It's been an hour and a half and that smells so good. I want to eat the darn thing right now. But Hank says I got to pull it out, put as much of these chopped up veggies as I can fit back in the Dutch oven, and then put it back in for another hour and a half. So, here we go. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. If you love carrots as much as I do, cooked carrots in a stew, probably my favorite thing on the planet. Outside of Kim Newberg's chili. Oh, that's what I need to do. I need to make a Kim Newberg chili batch. I'm sure it wouldn't turn out as good as hers is. Look at that. It's all going to fit in there, Jace. Stand by. Another hour and a half. We'll take it out. We'll let it set. Cut it. And the crew will tell us. I'm sure we're going to be over 145 degree requirement for any type of bear meat or other meats you might want to be precautionary with related to trichinosis. We'll be well above that, but we got a meat temperature gauge here. We'll check it and make sure. Stand by. Oh boy, does that smell good. Look at that. Look at that. Let's see over there.
I can taste a little wine, sweetness.
Quite the established palate. I don't think I'm getting any of this.
Go black bear hunting. Eat them. Trying to think of how many bears I've eaten. My dad used to take everybody's black bear in town. Oh, I'll take it. That's all we ate was black bear. I don't know if they had trichinosis or not, but my dad would eat it half raw.
It smells good. Looks good. I've always been taught that you make your compliments before you taste it, just in case. It tastes good too. It is very tasty.
Well, that was good. Hopefully everybody who has an interest in going out bear hunting doesn't fall for the old claim that, oh, those bears, you can't eat them. I've eaten more bear in my life than crazy amount of bear. That recipe that Hank had there, the wine really comes through. You can even taste a little bit of the other, especially the cayenne. I could taste a little bit of that. It gets into the bear meat, keeps it a little more moist, one thing, and if I had to do a retrospective look, we've been cooking in this oven and everybody said, man, that thing runs hot. And when I pulled this out, I cooked it for the minimum time that Hank recommended, and it was already done. It was probably too done, but still, when you cook it in something like this, you really can't mess it up. Great recipe, great meat, and hopefully, if ever you get a bear, you got some ideas of how to cook it, go out to Hank Shaw's website. I think it's called Hunt, Gather, Cook. We'll put a link down below. Hank's got, I think, 4 or 5 books now, or I know he's got 4. I think he's working on his 5th. But amazing recipes in all of them, and he really gets into meat care. In other words, from the time the animal or the bird or the fish is taken to the point when you get it to your kitchen and you're going to start cooking, there's a lot that goes into that. Hank has all that in those books also. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, I forgot to make the rolls. Boy, Kim's going to be mad at me.